Yeah, I had a question. With the Halo fan base, there's a big difference, or in the video game world, there's sort of a big discrepancy between the Halo fan base and the Call of Duty fan base, and it's kind of a rivalry. It's not really based on reason. It's just kind of a prejudice. We hate each other because they're not us, you know? And there's a lot of things that y'all have talked about in like Infinity Slayer and things, and with customizable classes, with instant respawns, with grenade indicators on your reticle, with sprint being a trait and stuff like that. Things that are like seem to be very Call of Duty oriented, and we're bringing them into Halo. Have y'all considered that, like with your fan base, and will that mess them up?
Yeah, I mean, we deal with this question a lot. I think that certainly in terms of customizing your player, it's really not the same thing at all. I use the metaphor. It's like tuning your car for handling rather than swapping a V8 engine into it. It's fairly subtle in the long run. But I mean, things like grenade indicators, that's just something people are used to, and we're trying to make the game absolutely approachable for new players as well as old players. And to your point, there's whole generations of players who've grown up now without ever having played Halo, and so they don't know how it's supposed to be or how it's supposed to feel. So we're trying to make some of those UI and sort of education decisions about the game's content with new players in mind, with intergenerational players in mind. But ultimately, the simple fact of the matter is it doesn't really play or feel like Call of Duty in any way whatsoever. The loadout system, I've said this before, but it's literally true. The loadout system, when we were first looking at it, looked more like Gradius loadout system in the arcade game from like 1986 than it did anything else. So a lot of these are just systems that get moved around and revisited and reused in appropriate places. But we're not trying to take anything away from Call of Duty. I play Black Ops myself all the time, and they're just two completely different feeling experiences. Hard to explain that to your mom when you're playing an FPS, but that's how it feels for me.
So I can also jump in a little bit on this one. Having a certain affinity, we've actually worked on Halo and Call of Duty games, so we have a ton of experience. And I'll say, what Frank's saying is absolutely correct. I think you guys can, if you're willing to wait in a long line, can actually go try hands-on yourself and get a sense for how it feels. But yeah, it's Halo all the way, no question about it. And Adam and I both have spent a lot of time also working on the Call of Duty stuff. And what you do there, it's more than just loadouts and those sorts of things that differentiate these games. There's a lot to do with a lot of other mechanics, a lot of the way that vehicles work, a lot of the way you approach map design. Honestly, is really fundamentally different. And what we've done in Halo 4 multiplayer is incredibly true to the Halo franchise. No question about it.
Cool.
Go ahead.
So in the book Ghost of Onyx, spoiler alert, but at the end, Halsey and I believe it's Blue Team is left in a micro Dyson sphere, and I was wondering if the Spartans there, the Spartan 3s and 2s, would be included in Halo 4 or the trilogy.
They will not be in Halo 4, but we have plans for everyone that you just mentioned in terms of following up on their story. And actually, Ghost of Onyx is a good example of where we took a book and we told Eric, make sure that this doesn't interfere with this because we haven't finished the story for this game and blah, blah, blah. There are all these sort of logistic things where you just try to put people in a safe bubble, almost literally in the case of the Dyson sphere. We don't do that anymore, and so one of the tasks that we have is to go back and clean some of that stuff up so that characters that were sort of sealed off from the rest of the universe that people love are actually reconnected with the universe in meaningful ways. So we'll be doing that, but it's going to be a long-term process. So you will get to find out what happened to those guys, and it will actually be germane to the core game story eventually.
Thank you.
I had a quick question about the cooperative and dynamic lighting. When you were playing the demo, it didn't really render the dynamic lighting of the objects you created until after you switch back to player mode. But how will that affect friends in your game when you're playing Forge?
The little warning that we talked about where you see it rendering happens on everyone's screen basically, right? So.
Yeah, once one person switches back into player mode, they'll all get that little short pause and it'll generate the lighting.
Oh my gosh, I'm a girl! Yay, and I can't reach the mic.
We can't see, so we've only got your word for it. You could be a huge husky Jedi for all we know. I have no idea.
Okay, I will hold it by hand. I was about 30, 40 minutes late, so I didn't hear the whole beginning. I was wondering if you were going to come out with a multiplayer beta like they did in Halo Reach, and when and if that's going to come.
No. We're doing large-scale testing currently and have been all year within Microsoft, but ultimately, given our schedule and resources, it was not. There's definitely a lot you can learn from a public beta, but I think when we're doing fairly radical overhauls of the systems, the thing you're going to get back from any beta is, oh, just make it the same as it was before when you're doing this kind of evolution. So there's a lot we could have learned, but ultimately resources, time, schedule, and just our ability to get through this project meant that we were better off concentrating those resources internally. I should point out that when I say internal, lots of members of the public get to play and give significant feedback. And we do really, really extensive user testing with real players. This isn't just Microsoft people, but it's a sort of umbrella sheltered experience for those people, and they all have to sign NDAs. But real people just like you, and probably a couple of people in this audience might have been doing that, but they can't say because of the NDA. So.
But if any of you would like to play the game,
Yes.
it's available here.
Yeah, it's the RTX mini beta. So.
I have another question. Where would that be located? And when can I play it?
It's on the show floor, so if you head out the doors, go to the right, and walk in, it's right on the left.
We have time for 2 more questions. I'm so sorry for those of you that didn't get to ask them, but feel free to come to our booth and ask them there. Go ahead, left.
Okay, oh wow. I just want to say, first off, I've been playing Halo since Combat Evolved, and I've been fascinated by Cortana and her main role as a dynamic character and her changes in her appearances. I was wondering, as she enters her rampancy, is she going to be more of a danger to herself or to her allies, or is it equal?
I mean, if she enters rampancy, yes, all those things would be true. It's definitely, she's past due, basically, for rampancy in our story timeline, and we're going to absolutely explore that in a meaningful and interesting way, is all I'll say about it.
Okay.
Okay, last question. No pressure, but it should be like a super awesome
Better be
best
the
one
bestest
ever.
question.
No pressure, right? I was curious on who do you guys have lined up for your voice talent in Halo 4?
Well, we have obviously returning favorites like Steve Downs and Jen Taylor. We have a lot of new cast, and the biggest injection of new people and faces into the game and voices, of course, is in Spartan Ops. Where, because it's episodic fiction, the stories themselves deal with human characters and real people and their relationships. The missions, of course, deal with a lot of shooting and blowing things up and having a blast. But it's a real story about people, so you're going to meet a lot of new characters and faces in the Halo universe, really for the first time since Halo 1. I mean, we sort of expanded it with things like Lord Hood and Miranda and stuff like that, but this will be the biggest influx of new characters and actually sandbox elements in the series history. Thank you.
That was a good one to end on. Nice job. We are going to be doing a signing back at the booth right now, so feel free to head over there. Remember that we have war games playable on the floor, so one way or another, I hope we see you at our booth. Thank you so much for coming.